How silly are the Terlatos, huh? Boy, these guys, what rubes. What were they thinking, huh? Planting Sauvignon Blanc in Rutherford. Gotta have your head examined. Like, seriously, crazy. But if you got Tony Terlato's money, then you can do it. Santa Margherita Pinot Grigio buys you a lot of flexibility in life. And I'm so glad that they have that flexibility, because this wine is something else. Now, Rutherford Hill, iconic name, right? They, in the 80s, they built their house on Merlot. Merlot was a big deal before sideways, then when it all went sideways. But prior to that, Merlot was a BFD. And Rutherford Hill was one of the pioneers of great Merlot in the Napa Valley. Tony Terlato and family bought the property a few years back, early 2000s, if memory serves. And they kind of continued carrying the banner for Merlot, but at the same time, I think they did a lot of work. They've actually invested a ton of money into Rutherford Hill. And one of the things that they're doing is stuff like this, the single parcel Sauvignon Blanc from Rutherford, their AJT collection. It's a single vineyard wine. The vines were planted about 7 years ago now. And you have this beautiful Sauvignon Blanc on the classic Rutherford dust, technically Pleasanton loam. All right, nerds, thank you. And these Rutherford dust imparts just a wonderful quality to Sauvignon Blanc. And this Rutherford has a long history of Sauvignon Blanc, whether it's with Honig and some of these other guys. And basically, as with everything else, Sauvignon Blanc has been slowly pushed out of the Napa Valley. You'll never get enough money for the fruit to justify growing Sauvignon Blanc unless you own it yourself. You're your own person. Just like with the Mill Keeper wines we talked about with the Gamble family, they own all their Sauvignon Blanc. They have money, so they can be like, nanny, 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 I'm gonna grow Sauvignon Blanc in the middle of the valley, and all the rest of the Napa Valley is like, plant Cabernet, 12,000 a ton, 20,000 a ton, and these guys are like, nah, this is our jam, we're gonna do what we wanna do. When you own your own vineyards, you have that power, and it's a wonderful power to have in the valley. There's a lot of upwards pressure in the valley, you know what I'm saying? So to get a wine like this, it's so refreshing and so amazing. Now, pretty unique way that they vinify this, right? So, or age it, I should say. So 30% of the wine, if memory serves, is aged in new French oak, 40% in neutral oak, 30% in stainless steel. And they do the classic Sauvignon Blanc thing, right? So to kind of avoid pyrazines but still maintain great acidity, you have two different picking dates. So they pick a batch, then they wait a week, and they pick another batch. Then you blend those batches, right? So you have the riper Sauvignon Blanc fruit that provide the middle, the body, the weight. Then you have the earlier picked Sauvignon Blanc fruit to provide the crunch, the acidity, etc. This is classic as it gets, guys. Especially for the Napa Valley and for this neck of the woods for Sauvignon Blanc. In the rest of the world, there's a lot of stainless steel and this and that. Here, they didn't mind barrel aging a little bit. Remember the whole Mondavi Fumé Blanc? What was that? Barrel aged Sauvignon Blanc, right? That's how that whole thing came about. So here we have the Rutherford Hill AJT Collection Sauvignon Blanc Rutherford. Yeah, right? So when Napa does Sauvignon Blanc properly, and believe me, guys like Melka and all these guys have cashed in on what this old original recipe was. The pseudo Bordeaux Blanc style, right? A little bit of that whole kind of Pessac Léognan thing happening here, where part of it is barrel aged, part of it's barrel fermented. So you got the weight and you got the gravitas, but only part of it. So the wine is not oaky per se, just the wood provides the structure and richness to the wine, but not a cloying richness. It's more like a frame where like the bright, dainty Sauvignon Blanc that was picked a week earlier can kind of like dance in. So like, imagine me, I'm in my little portrait mode frame now because we're in portrait mode, but I go out of the frame. Okay. The key is balance. This isn't just like lean stainless steel Sauvignon Blanc. This wine has texture, it has weight, it has complexity. The wine's a complete joy. And believe me, we sell like cool boutique, like artisan wines here, like fine wines. And, super cool stuff. And part of me didn't want to like this wine, to be honest, because it's always a struggle selling people big grand wines from our humble, cool little independent retail location. People want unique, different, hey, ha-cha-cha from us. And sometimes you just have to tip your cap to the cats to do it on a little bigger level, but do it right, right? You can make, it doesn't matter if you make 100 cases of something or 10,000 cases of something. If you do it right, it's still amazing wine. And one thing I'll say for the Terlato family, they did this wine right. This is gorgeous, classic, textbook Napa Valley Sauvignon Blanc, beautifully wrought. Now, what brought this to our attention in the first place was the score from Wine Spectator, right? Not too many Sauvignon Blancs get 94 points from Wine Spectator. As a matter of fact, almost none. Out of thousands of wines reviewed, you can count on 4 hands the number of wines that got 94 and 95 points Sauvignon Blanc wise from Wine Spectator over the last, 5 years? And this is one of them. And, you have to look at Wine Spectator, right? Because they do taste blind. They taste everything blind. And when something pops, it pops for a reason. So we wanted to take a look at this wine right away. When we did try it, we were like, wow. If any of you enjoyed, it reminds me of just all those great Rutherford Sauvignon Blancs of the past, whether it's, like I said, Honig, previously mentioned, etc. This wine just pushes all the buttons. 94 points, well-deserved. It's one of the best domestic Sauvignon Blancs we tasted in the past year. Kudos to the Terlato family for producing an immediately iconic Napa Valley Sauvignon Blanc. We hope you keep the Sauvignon Blanc grapes in the ground and don't give in, guys. Don't give in.